against my enemies, yeah. You see, you wanted to save you, and then learn how to raise you. But I forget you're from the wilderness.
Hello everyone, what is up? I am Rob.
I am Eamon.
Damn Eamon, would you believe here we are again? It's another Monster Fuzz.
Never ending.
It never ends.
The ninth circle of hell. Yeah, back again, doing it in person since I had the COVID.
Feels good to have you back with us, you know.
Thank you. It feels good to be back, better than when I had the COVID. This COVID is like COVID zero.
Yeah,
like literally it was a day of being fatigued and then that was it.
Yeah, I think I had that, and I think
I got it off you this time, yeah.
I think we all got it together, to be honest.
The way it should be.
Yeah.
Communal COVID.
Communal COVID. Hope everyone's doing well, wherever you are in the world. Hope you're having a good day. I would like to remind everyone to leave reviews if you can. They always help the podcast. Shares on Spotify are always appreciated. You know, if you want to put them on your Instagram stories and tag us, that's always appreciated. And we generally will always retweet or whatever the word is on Instagram, those tags. So do drop us an old a shout out. You know, it's appreciated. And if you want to go a step further, head on over to Patreon. It really does help at this time of year, folks. I said it on Mini Fuzz, but summer and January
falls out of the podcast.
It does. People are off having to crack them damn people.
God damn it, stay inside.
So yeah, head on over to Patreon if you can and drop a few ducats for support. We'd like to remind everyone as well that supporting us, Patreon for some reason has added and we've had a couple of people do it. Support without paying money. It's just pointless. I don't know why they do it. It's probably something to do with data collection or something. We don't get nothing out of it. So if you do want to support, just know that support for free doesn't actually do anything. You won't see any content on Patreon and we don't get nothing out of it. The only person that benefits is Patreon. So yeah. If you do want to drop a few coins, you'll get your exclusive episodes, your access to the Discord, all of that jazz is over there. You get ad-free stuff as well, of course. And yeah. Eamon, if you've got any spooky stories, maybe a ghost story or anything like that, where do they send that?
Yeah, so this thing we're going to do today is about a spooky ghost light in Ohio. Have you seen any spooky ghost lights? Oh. Were they bright? Were they dim? Did they scare you in your quim? monsterfuzzpodcast@gmail.com. Send on your stories. We will read them. Don't send them to monsterfuzz@gmail.com because we don't know who owns that email address.
Okay, interesting. I thought at a glance the ghost of Oxford we were going to England. But we're actually in Ohio as it happens.
We're in Ohio, birthplace of Dave Chappelle.
Is it Jesse from Ohio?
Maybe that's just where he lives.
For me now,
he talks about Ohio a lot though.
When I think of Ohio, I think of Bone Thugs and Harmony. They're from Cleveland.
They're Ohio?
Cleveland, Ohio.
Yeah, very cool.
They'd be my favourite Ohio product, I think.
I don't really know of any bands from Ohio. Where was Slipknot from? Ohio.
Ohio.
I always get confused because they have four letters.
Ohio.
That is kind of an Irish thing. I always get confused where Slipknot are from.
Okay, well they have an album called Iowa.
So that's the one that helps me remember where they're from. Yeah.
What was that album? You've also done Tucson, of course.
Tucson. I saw one of those cars there.
Tucson, Arkansas.
The Kia Tucson. Popular. Or was it Hyundai Tucson?
Hyundai Tucson.
This is kind of a cool one. This is I would say a traditional ghost story.
We like a traditional ghost, we're very much into them. And it's been a while since we really. I know we had one last week, but that was more of a Samuel Pepys type of podcast.
That turned into the Samuel Pepys.
The funny thing is, I think his name.
Pepys.
No, I think we got it. I think we pronounced it wrong in every way possible. I think his name is Samuel. Is it Peps?
Peps.
I think it's Peps. I think we said it in every single way wrong, which makes it even better.
I can't even say Tucson right.
No, it was me because I was saying Peeps.
You were excited when you heard
Peepus.
When you learned that
it was
Samuel Pepys.
There was something unlocked in my brain.
You were like, "Do you never hear Samuel Pepys?" Come on.
Yeah, no, he's top shagger. Samuel Pepys.
We're doing so we did a few spooky paranormal ones because I don't think we had done them for a bit. And I think next week's is going to be the Snowdown Clown
Oh, yeah.
Snowdown, the something down clown. Anyway, we're saying
Come here to me. Have we done... I don't think we've done the Dyatlov Pass yet, have we?
No.
That's a TCG one. We need to do the Dyatlov Pass.
Yeah.
That's fun. And there's someone else sent me something like the Dyatlov Pass that we need to do as well. There's another thing.
There's a few of those weird... We went camping / on hike.
Yeah, we need to.
And it went terribly wrong.
There's also with the YouTube... For YouTube viewers, happy days. We will be doing like probably... And it'll be just on a regular podcast feed too, but like... HD remixes of the Sasquatch episodes, because we'll probably actually watch and analyze footage in those too. So
we've been talking about early episodes, maybe putting them into the Patreon and then redoing them now that we have good equipment.
Yeah,
so
it's probably better off. Yeah,
I think so.
Probably
we've been threatening this for about 2 years now. So.
We move slow. It's like we move at a glacial
Your
pace.
favorite glacial podcast.
You know them boulders on mountains that have taken like hundreds of thousands of years to move a couple of centimeters,
but when they come like loose, they roll the whole way down. So who's to know?
Simon, do you want to give us a little bit of an intro here into the Ghost of Oxford? I'm dying to know about the spook.
I will tell you of the lore.
Oh, Lord.
The laird.
Oh, the Lord.
The Ghost of Oxford Milford Road in Ohio is a well-known urban legend in the region. So the story centers around a ghostly figure that is said to appear on a desolate stretch of road between Oxford and Milford, and this is in Butler County in Ohio.
Shouts out.
So a county where maybe all the butlers came from. I always wonder about stuff like that. Second name like Butler or Butler's Town. Like there's a place in Waterford called Butler's Town, and I'm like, is that like just because loads of people were rich out there and they had butlers?
No. That would be...
the second name people were the butlers.
Yeah.
But if their second name was Butler, were they historically butlers? Do you know what
Possibly
I mean? Like,
too.
as a profession.
Yeah, so
A family of butlers.
So that did happen.
That did well for
There'd
themselves.
be people like in England who'd have the name like Fletcher, and they would have made arrows and shit like that, I think, right? Then my name, Billington.
Smith. There's another one, yeah.
There's a
Blacksmith.
town called Billington.
You were all from Billington.
Yeah, and then it goes even further back, because when you break down my name, Billington, it basically means it's like old fucking English, whatever, of the hill. Like that's like the literal translation.
yeah.
So my lads,
Old townie of the hill.
they lived up on a big hill, basically. And so when you go really, really far back to when it's like, you know, medieval or prior, that's the origin of the name, is like them lads lived up on that hill.
Yeah.
Billing was hill. So they're a hill tribe.
That's like the Anglo-Saxon type stuff. Yeah,
So-
because it's funny. I'm always curious about that. Like, obviously, again, Smith being blacksmith is a very common one that you see. Yeah, it's pretty cool. O'Neill, I'm not sure where O'Neill comes from. Probably just
Much
means
the same.
The best one.
Much the same. Like there's probably an actual meaning to O'Neill that predates like the most prominent man named O'Neill, if you know
And
what
the
I'm saying.
anglicized version of O'Neill, which is,
Yeah, so yeah, there will be. It's fascinating, it's very interesting.
It's interesting,
Butlers, any of the stuff that's in America, generally you're talking would have been from colonized stuff. But then as well, to be fair to America, there are a lot of places that do have like First Nations names also.
That's true. Yeah.
So
that's
like
true.
they did try and preserve some of
But
it.
there-
But then they also call places M16 Avenue and stuff like that. Semtex
M16
Street.
Avenue, yeah.
Semtex Street, M16
Street.
Avenue.
C4 Boulevard.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But then they were nice, you know. I mean, they named their attack helicopters Apaches.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
That was nice.
They're like,
was a nice
these
gesture.
helicopters are going to blow everyone to smithereens.
Just like we did with G. So, you know, look, it's nice.
They're
lads,
good
isn't
for
it?
that, yeah. It's just like another school shooting. Don't change anything. Keep going the way you're going. Just never change anything. Keep doing exactly what you're doing. Take away our guns, but what about the government? And to be fair, strong argument. Because they have to take their... You know, yeah, again, we're losing loads of our listeners.
So yeah, no, it's a good time honored tradition to name your streets after sort of old traditions, you know, and old names and stuff.
Military weaponry.
Yeah.
But the Oxford Light, the Phantom Motorcyclist, the Oxford Ghost Light. There's a few different names that this urban legend goes by. But it's been around for a long time. Some people say as far back as the 1940s. So people have been seeing this. And this is going to be something that when we get into it, because as it kind of said, it's between kind of some bypasses. So there would be car lights going by. But in the 1940s,
Not as much.
the level of traffic will be... Yeah, so it's an interesting... One of the theories. It is said that if you drive out to where Oxford Milton Road and Earnhardt Road meet, facing south, and you flash your headlights 3 times, the phantom light will appear in the distance, come towards you, and then disappear. This is supposed to be the headlight of the phantom motorcyclist.
Oh, road rash. Break that rusty cage.
Oh, you come beside me and you're just as fucking stupid like dog.
What's that, the lyrics?
That's, yeah. I'm gonna see the ghost of Oxford in America.
Have you ever listened to Johnny Cash's version of Rusty Cage?
And I'm going to
It's
break.
quite good. It's pretty good.
It is good. I think that and Heart are kind of the... He just got into a bit of a weird 90s vibe, a 90s groove.
It was, what's his name, wasn't it? Was it Rick Rubin that he was working with? I
Oh,
think?
that's right. He was like, you should cover this.
Yeah. And then, it's a whole different story for another time. We won't let our neurodivergent rants get the better of us here in this episode, will we? We'll try not
We
to.
will, but we'll try to delay it for another few minutes. It's only a matter of time.
I was listening to the Samuel Pepys episode last week and I was like, what in the actual fuck?
The funniest when I saw that get published, it was just like
The
the
Life
life
and
and times of Sam Evans. I was like, yeah, that's probably... like people are just like, the what? And then what was the other one? The drummer of Tenford or whatever. Yeah, bizarre.
So we're on to the 3 tales here. So one is Romeo and Juliet. Well done, Eamon.
Look at that pun.
Well
oh
done,
my God,
Eamon.
wordplay.
So the gist of this is 2 teenagers fall in love, but the girl's parents don't approve.
Classic.
They set up a signal so that they can meet in secret. She's supposed to flash the porch light or a flashlight 3 times to signal him to ride his motorcycle and pick her up. One night, seeing the signal, he jumps on his bike. Some versions say he was drunk, and speeds down the road to get her. From there, he either is hit by a tractor and killed, he hits a young boy on a bicycle and kills them both, or the most popular version has him losing control at the bend in the road, crashing through a barbed wire fence and getting decapitated. Get out here, you rapist.
Whoa.
Whoa. Deal with it.
Said the full thing. Whoa.
So he got caught being...
Demonetized.
He got caught out in Lonson, did he?
No, well, that's the next one. See, there's 3 or 4 full stories. They're all just riffs on each other, so it's like the multiverse.
Right.
These are what if Peter Parker's uncle pulled a Parker Pepper?
Right, so in this version then, this involves the serial or word
Yeah.
on the loose.
I think you've said it now. We may as well just go all.
No, it's serial or word. He's afraid of being his next victim. The girl and her boyfriend set up the same signal as a kind of a call for help. In this case, she feels she's in danger. From there, it's the same story. She flashes light. He comes riding to the rescue, but gets wrecked and is killed before making it there.
And then from that point, the worder probably does the bad
Has
things
his-
as well.
has his way.
All in all, it's like a Greek tragedy, very sad end to it.
It's like George R.R. Martin ending.
She bears the child to the worder.
Yeah.
Child is obviously troubled.
He's a horrible bastard.
She can't
He's a psycho.
bring herself to love the child.
Yeah.
The worder winds up making her marry him. So we're just doing Game of Thrones now. This is how it would be if it was 1940s.
Yeah.
The dragon is the motorbike, the steel, cool power of the motorcycle.
So the third tale is that she says the boyfriend went off to war, and when he returned, he found his girl with another man.
Oh, we've all been there. Back from war.
He's
Blue balls. And your missus is off getting jackhammered by another man.
terrible.
Why? God.
He takes off on his bike in a rage and ends up in a wreck.
So, I mean, there's
The
a little...
Jack's teller.
Yeah. Riding to this world. What are all you guys doing here?
Terrible. Spoiler alert for Sons of Anarchy. It's terrible. Like, what a terrible injustice to such a great show to give his death by PS1 18-wheeler. Like, the CG in that was...
Really? I actually didn't watch the last episodes of that. No, I think I don't know, just burned out on it before the end. What happens? He's riding into the world, is he? And then he
Yeah,
on his own.
he He dusted himself off.
Does he?
Yeah.
Why does he dust himself?
He just had enough.
That's fair enough.
Well, he realised, like, basically
Playing a zero-sum game here.
Well, yeah, it was kind of that, but it was also like, no matter what happens, everyone is getting fucked here. Like, I'm in a toxic culture. Everyone is fucking dying or getting fucked up because of it. So I'm out. Yeah.
So he wasn't even trying to just drive away and start a new life.
No, he was done. He couldn't get away from his demons. It was well done.
We've all been there.
It was well done, but the way that, like, he basically rides head on into an 18-wheeler, but like the 18-wheeler looks like something out of fucking PS1.
Right.
And you're like,
it's like the truck from Resident Evil.
Yeah, it's like literally
actually.
That's actually, it looks on par with that FMV from the start of Resident Evil 1.
One of those things bit me.
Yeah, I mean, look, the classic, this is a classic lover's tale, I suppose, a tale of caution.
Yeah, it's got James Dean vibes.
Yeah.
You see him with the fag box in his tight white t-shirt, clinging to his taut muscles. Probably has a great arse and a pair of denims, Levi's jeans most likely, and a nice motorcycle.
Do you ever do any sort of weird, sort of like steal away at night kind of things with a lady or anything, kind of high risk maneuvers when you were a teenager?
Yeah, I snuck out once or twice. I got caught once.
Did you?
I was young and my parents were so worried that when I got back they just said, tell us next time you're going to leave the house in the middle of the night. And I was like, yeah, no bother. My mum was driving around town looking for me and all. I was like 16 or whatever.
Horny little bastard.
I don't even think. I think it was at that age where, like, you don't even do anything. Like, you know, you're just
horny
there.
told.
Yeah.
So you were out doing now, you know,
Banging, man.
Get out.
Get out here. I was out like, where are the women alone? Yeah, no, everyone did that, those teenagers.
I don't know if I did.
You ever escaped?
Oh, but like escaped, yeah. But I got it out of my system very young, and I was like 6, going out. Like, one time, me and my cousin and my toddler brother, who was literally 2 or like 3. This is one of those stories where you sort of feel like you might have a bit of an aura about you that, like, stops bad things from happening. We went out, and
the fact that Tusla didn't find out is
we went out. We all woke up at like 4 a.m.
Right.
And we all went out and we robbed all the milk cartons off people's doors because people were still getting milk delivered.
Yeah.
Fools.
I remember that, yeah.
Fools.
Free milk. All the milk I can drink.
Drank more milk, man.
Yeah. We all did that as kids as well.
But like, we did it on a whole scale. Like, we went down the whole high street, robbed all of them. And ones we didn't even want, we robbed them.
Just throw them on the street. And
then we went down to the bridge, under the bridge downtown. And we got up onto with my toddler brother.
How did your toddler brother get into the?
I probably, like, I don't know whether he actually got up or he stood there watching us. I can't remember.
Anyway, yeah.
But yeah, we got home by like 7 a.m. and got our arses kicked, and that was that. But that was one of those scenarios that could have went very wrong.
Yeah. What age was your older cousin at the time?
I was probably like 7 or 8. He was probably 9 or 10. It wasn't the cousin you think now, it was a different cousin. So
another cousin I'm
another degenerate.
He never would have gone into town without a lift. You pick me up there, bring me down.
No, this was I lived in John Street then.
Right. That makes more sense.
But yeah, but I'm trying to think, did I do any shifty, going out for an old cheeky shift? I was quite, like, I had a fairly, like, lackadaisical, like, at 15, and I was drinking a crate of Stella Artois on the weekend with a George Foreman grill and eating a load of burgers. Me and lads used to do that.
Yeah, to be fair,
that was like 15 years old.
Better than shifting.
Like, what could I do that I hadn't already? You know what I mean? Going out for a shift, me, man, was probably like, oh, that's actually, he probably should do that. He's spending all day in with the lads drinking.
To be fair, drinking Stella Artois and eating George Foreman. Shifting probably would have been a better choice at that age.
I mean, I wanted to shift.
Yeah, it was just.
But it wasn't happening.
Things.
Like,
yeah. To be fair, it's not like I was doing it every weekend. I think it was just a one-off kind of a thing.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't. I got a bit old. I don't know. You know yourself, man. You be having big O's in alleyways and all. Like, your legs shaking like Jack Russell out there doing what you have to do on those streets.
No. I had a couple of incidents on the streets, all right, later in life that were extremely bizarre. just really weird.
Sexual being.
That was really weird.
You had some weird little twists out in
Volume involved.
Oh well, yeah.
We're on the drink and all, and
Yeah.
mad shit going on. You're like,
I think
"How's
you've
it
told me
happen?"
about those before.
Yeah.
Yeah, occasionally you can find yourself in a situation where you go, if I actually got found by the law right now, it would be highly embarrassing for me and my family.
Yeah, no, I don't know. But yeah, as a teenager, not as many cautionary sort of. I'm trying to think. Like, not really.
Yeah.
I was at that age. I was so horny I could ride a spider. To be fair,
But you were also fairly good at the internet, which I'd say.
no, not really like that. No, back then, no, there was none of that.
Yeah.
It was before the cell phone. You know, there wasn't none of that. Like taking a picture of your Mickey or anything. You weren't at any
We
of
were
that,
very
really.
lucky that we bypassed that whole thing.
Bypass what he's talking sure.
Well, at that age.
All
do you know
right.
what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that seems like danger zone. It's people in America, I believe, that they get arrested for producing because they take pictures of their own thing and send it to someone when they're like 15.
Yeah.
Which is terrifying.
Yeah.
Imagine getting arrested for distributing of yourself.
Live by the gun, die by the gun.
Live by the gun, die by the gun. I tell you one thing. We've talked about it before. There needs to be more education for lads with Mickeys to not be controlled by the Mickey. You need to have someone sit you down and go, listen, when you get an erection, what you need to do, tense all the muscles in your legs so that the blood flows to your legs and not your appendage.
Yeah.
That's a quick way to get rid of an unwanted, an unruly
A sensation.
sensational
A
erection.
lusty moment. And so we're on to some other bit here that I don't know what it's about. So
This is an excerpt from an article in October 31st, 1992. To give you the spooky vibes, you know, they're setting up in the town. This is an edition of the Hamilton Journal. And it reads, "The problem with the legend is that long-time residents have never heard of such an accident. William Falk, 70, was born and has always lived in the house where the girl in the legend supposedly lived. He knows nothing of the story of the girl and doesn't believe the lights are from a ghost. Creepy Cincinnati actually put the urban legend to the test. So they said that the headlights of the cars are a pretty good distance from the parking spot, and that's what they saw. So as we talked before, we talked about the amount of traffic you'd have there and maybe just misidentifying this ghoulish light for that. The lay of the road makes them appear much closer than they really are. Oftentimes, chasing after them leads you nowhere as they have already turned off onto another street before you can reach them. And with the dips in the road obscuring your view, you don't see it. But again, maybe one of them is the phantom bike. Most say the best place to park is right where the no parking sign is. Obviously, that's why the sign is there, so maybe you shouldn't do that. But others say you can others say you can do it anywhere in the area. Locals are understandably fed up with people doing it at this spot, though, so maybe try not to be a pest. So if we do have any listeners in Ohio, we might.
we do, yeah.
We do.
Yeah.
If we do, here are some directions. So if you've checked this out, do write into us, monsterfuzzpodcast@gmail.com. And let us know what your story is, because we have a few little excerpts from this of people who did it as well from Reddit. A few stories.
I think maybe at a push, the only state in America we wouldn't have listeners is Hawaii, because they're all having a crack. But every other state, mainland state.
Hawaii might be one of those places I'd live. Actually, we were talking about that in last week's mini-fuzz. I live in Hawaii. So here we go. So you want to take the I-275 to the Coleraine Avenue exit. This is US 27. Take it north to Old Oxford Road and turn right. Then left on Lanes Mill Road. Next, bear left onto Scholembarger Road. Continue on to Hamilton Richmond Road, where you turn left. From there, it's onto the Earhart Road. Turn left onto Earhart and follow it till you reach the sharp bend in the road. Park on Oxford Milford Road by the no parking signs, facing south.
Google Maps, bye.
Telling you. I'm curious to see if anyone knows this place. I'd like them to
Yeah.
write into us, because
There's tag us on Instagram. Actually, better yet, go in the dark, take a little Instagram story video, tag us.
yeah, that'd be really fun. And see, here's the thing, right? So we had those people that other creepy Cincinnati investigated it, and they obviously were of the opinion that this is just passing lights that people are seeing.
Yeah.
My question is, and I'm not ultra familiar with the infrastructure around here, obviously, but Do you reckon there's been, if this is a story since the 1940s, do you reckon there's been much change to the road since the 1940s? You would imagine a relative amount of change, right?
Yeah. Usually they'll get widened, you know, that's like...
So I do wonder, like, yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of, I want this urban legend to be real.
Well, I'll tell you about Strange Lights. Tim, not sure if he's told that on Strange Familiars yet. I think he might have done. But if he isn't, it's coming up soon anyway. But like Tim was saying that him and his group, they were, I don't know where they were, but they were out in the field. They travelled to a spot that had paranormal and strange goings on. And I believe Tim with any of this stuff when it comes from him. I'm like, yeah, because like I think he's
he's a reliable guy when he tells you stuff like that.
And he was saying that they seen a really weird light in the woods above the tree line. I think it was above the tree line, and sounds weird. This whole story he told me, like I was in a call with him
kind
last
of
week.
Will-o'-the-wisp sort of stuff.
No, like maybe even more substantial than that. Like
right.
And the call, like, yeah, he was just telling me about this whole thing in the call, and I was like, "Fuck, that's interesting." So maybe actually we'll have him on soon to tell us about that because, yeah, he's been out and he's been doing a good amount of research, which is what I love about him as well. Is that he's always like out in the field.
He's always deep in the pain.
He is, and he's meeting up with people and he's
yeah.
doing all that, which is really cool. Like so. Yeah, it's cool, and what he's told me is really interesting. So it's a cool story as well. So yeah, maybe we'll have him on to tell that. But
cool.
Yeah, so we have some real life lights here. So what's the story with these, Eamon? Before I get into them,
these are sort of real people's stories of the experiences they've had here. There's 3 different stories,
right?
And they're pretty. Some of them have those cool. There's kind of sensory experiences, not necessarily the light. But foreboding, oppressive feelings and the stuff that we'd associate with ghoulish behaviour.
Well, lights, like, it sounds simple, right? Because it's a light. But, like, that is definitely something that people see and don't have explanations for at times.
Yeah. And again, you get into the high strangeness and all that. You talk about lots of lights are reported with Bigfoot sightings. We've talked about metaphysical Bigfoot and all that sort of shit before. Metaphysical Bigfoot.
Come through a wormhole.
My favourite. Come through the wormhole and stay for the fried chicken. I don't know what Bigfoot was. Say Bigfoot, to be fair. If Bigfoot, he's eating like raw deer or whatever. I'd say if Bigfoot got his hands on a fried chicken.
Yeah.
Like fried chicken. Do you ever not eat fried chicken for ages and then you eat fried chicken and you remember why fried chicken is so good?
Yeah, I've talked about it on the pod before, but fried food and me are starting to, it's a relationship that's starting to...
causing chaos in your guts. Yeah.
It's starting to be a tumultuous type of relationship.
I tell you one thing, I had tempura. I got a Vine the other day. Got tempura. Boys down there aren't messing around. They're slinging tempura.
It's a Thai restaurant.
Yeah. So like, it was like, they gave me a big giant brown bag full of tempura. I thought you get like 5 pieces.
Tempura's fried prawn, right?
Fried vegetables.
Fried vegetables, right.
So, but I could, like, as soon as that. Like, no one wants to eat broccoli.
I do.
Fried broccoli, son.
Yeah, I think it's funny because I think that the mantra with food is that there's probably somewhere in the world that if you gave them chicken dippers for the first time, they would become a delicacy.
They'd be like those lads we talked about a few weeks back who got porn for the first time in a tribe in Brazil, and now their lives are ruined.
If I rocked up to like the PNG, Papua New Guinea, well, a load of bags of chicken dippers, and I was like, throw these in the oven. You don't even have to fry them. Throw them in the oven.
And then you say to them, imagine, and after they've eaten their first batch, and be like, oh, I'm rocked, I'm never going to be the same. Then you're like, here's some garlic sauce.
Yeah.
Dip the dipper into that,
bit of mayo
and try that.
Tomato sauce if you want to throw that on it. That would be a delicacy.
Why would you ever go back?
That'd be a delicacy, and they'd be attacking fishing boats to go and get chicken dippers.
They'd be saying to you, they'd be going, why would you not work 40 hours a week in an office just to eat an endless amount of these? They'd get it then.
But that's the funny thing about food is like it is in the eye of the eater, the consumer,
the mouth of the eater.
Where like sometimes like my new thing that I've been kind of doing for the last 3 or 4 weeks, and I'll probably stick with it long term because I fucking really enjoy it, is I have a smoothie every morning.
Oh, yeah.
But it's not like sort of, well, it is tasty, but it's not like a super like this is all nice stuff smoothie. Like I put spinach in it.
Yeah, it just gets your body moving.
But like load of chia seeds, load of oatmeal in it, spinach. Sometimes I'll put cauliflower rice in there, a banana, raspberries, sometimes blueberries.
Yeah.
And basically like a nut butter of some description, and then some like probiotic low fat yogurt. Have that as a smoothie in the morning. I try so that it's like basically your 30 grams of fiber. Like, well, it's not that high in fiber, but you're getting up there. That's what you want. But that makes me buzz, and that's like, fuck, this is good food. Like, it actually feels really
It's
good.
full of nutrients.
It feels really good to consume it. Like, whereas
it's funny because fried chicken feels really good on your mouth,
but that's it.
But afterwards, then you're like, power down, kids.
That's it. Like, and pizza's like that too, where like pizza's amazing in those first couple of bites. But then when it gets into like all bollocks,
they're kind of like the one night stand of food.
What have I done?
Like at the moment, yeah, exactly. Like you've just nutted and you're like, oh Christ, why am I here being disgusting?
I don't know. Yeah, it's funny. Food is funny that way. Where like, and the more shit food you eat, the more you become accustomed to it, and the more it's just like whatever.
Yeah.
But if you like avoid it and then you have it, then it fucks you up more.
I know, but even that, like when you avoid it for ages, then you eat it, like that first taste, like, you know, it's worth it.
Yeah, so anyway, we'll get back to the real life lights here, because all the food talk's making me hungry. In the fall of 1997, sometime in October, if I am not mistaken, two friends of mine went to see The Light. It was your typical fall night, with weather in the low 50s and a light rain. We had rain all day. Most of the time, either a steady or heavy rain. We made the journey. At this time, the house where the guard lived was still standing. At the end where he had his accident, a house sits off to your left. A tree in front of the house had a smouldering fire around it. We thought it was odd, since it had rained all day, but thought nothing of it till later. After we made the journey, we turned around and made the turn again, and one of us made a comment about how odd the fire was. We pulled ahead about 100 feet from the tree, and turned on or off the headlights 3 times as the ritual states. Then we sat and waited for the light. A couple of minutes passed. Then my friends started to see the light ahead, but only the peak of it. I, in the meantime, didn't see anything yet, but I started to hear a noise. Chris and Drew, my friends, kept on trying to point out the light to me, saying, I can't believe you don't see it. It's right there in the middle of the road. Yet I saw no light. Then I realised what noise I was hearing was because it kept getting louder. It was an engine, yet there was no car or bike anywhere around us. Chris and Drew kept talking about how the light was getting closer, and I kept on telling them that the sound was getting louder. I couldn't see the light, and they couldn't hear the engine. We kept on arguing with each other because we were all experiencing the same thing but in different manners. Then you could feel its presence. All of us could feel it. My friends kept on yelling about how the light was almost on top of us, while I could hear the engine screaming in my ears. Then, all of a sudden, the loud, piercing scream happened. We all heard it. That was enough for us. I started the car and got the hell out of there. This was too much. Halfway down the Milford Road, Drew and Chris started to see the light following us. I could see the light in my rear view mirror. I started to go faster, around 60 miles per hour, which on this road in this condition was completely insane. But it didn't matter to us. We started to head back to Hamilton via SR73 to SR27. We still kept on seeing the light follow us. We turned left onto SR27. I am going as fast as possible with the roads and weather permitting. As we were going up SR27, we see the light zip across a ploughed cornfield to our right. Shit. We then go over a hill, and that is the last we saw of the light. It wasn't until spring of next year that we dare go back to see the light. That time was more than enough to last me a lifetime. Yet, even still, anytime I return back home to Cincinnati, I have to go and see the light. Now, the weird fucking thing is, bit of synchronicity, Fuzz, and I'll be sending it to him after this story, after we've done this episode. Tim's whole fucking story that he was telling me was basically like getting followed by a light.
Wow. And is there any, because what I thought was quite interesting about this one is that we've talked before, it's funny enough, we've talked with Tim before about those two people who would have seen Bigfoot differently. So they manifested as a different, because it's obviously metaphysical, obviously.
Yeah.
So it manifested differently. And in this, the sensory aspect of the light, which is obviously the aural and the visual, manifests differently to the two people.
Of Bigfoot.
This could have been Bigfoot on a motorbike. Bigfoot on motorbike could chase you in car.
I love how like we're in such a niche like thing where it's like that is metaphysical Bigfoot is like the most logical answer. You're like, yes,
Yeah.
metaphysical
See, what
Bigfoot.
I believe.
It can't be regular Bigfoot with a lantern. It's metaphysical Bigfoot.
There is a wild man who carries a lantern.
Oh, I
one of
believe
the
it,
wild
yeah.
men. It's part of the lore. But for me, these are manifestations from the other.
Oh, you think so?
It's all the same shit. It's just sometimes it's Bigfoot, sometimes it's a light, sometimes it's aliens, sometimes it's whatever. Squids.
Whatever it takes for them. Squids are scary, are they?
Giant squids
Evil
walking
squid.
on land through the forest.
That's scary.
That is scary.
Yeah. That's actually probably more scary than Bigfoot.
The idea of
Giant.
imagine being in Carrickle Forest one night and the plankton has its phosphorescence.
Oh, yeah.
It's on the octopus, an octopus that is just a horde. What do you call a group of octopus? Octopi,
yeah.
There's I'm sure
Pod,
like a school
probably.
or a pod, probably, yeah. Just a load of octopus. Imagine being and hoping that the octopus don't see you under the shadow of things that shouldn't be where they are can be scary.
Yes. Lights in the woods, yeah. I mean...
Lights in the woods, man. If we were in the wood, you see a light and you're like, all right. Because the first thing is this is someone and that it could be good or bad or indifferent. Then it's not connected to anything. And now you're like, okay, well, this could still be good or bad or indifferent. But now it's scary because that shouldn't be there.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't understand as well how like scary shit can be when you're in the woods on your own. Like,
oh yeah.
I've shouted him out a lot on the podcast, and he definitely doesn't need my shout outs. But Geo Wizard does his straight line challenges across, like, say, England, and a lot of it will be he's like going through the woods in the dark. Like, but in those videos, like, he's often like he might see a torch in the distance and he's like shitting it. But like I've heard people say like, why is he making such a big deal about that or whatever? And it's like he's literally on his fucking own. And he's been walking on his own like all day.
Every unsettling story
he's wrecked.
that you've ever heard in your life, your mind remembers them. Like, I'm just thinking, you're in the English countryside, the British black cats, you'd be like, oh yeah, there's a jaguar here, gonna get me through. Every spooky story you've ever heard, every hills have eyes type story you've ever heard, like anything like that is now right at the forefront of your brain.
Yeah. So it's that's why I suppose these stories are birthed, and I suppose as well that's why sometimes people look at them and they go, this is whatever. But I suppose the closest thing you could equate it to is, you're driving along a motorway at night on your own and you take there's a car behind you, you take a turn off, that car keeps following you. You take another turn, that car follows you again. Yeah. Next thing you notice, hang on, I've been driving for like 15 minutes off this and this guy is actually still behind me. Like, what are the odds they're going to a similar place? That's kind of what it would be like seeing like something like that in the woods where it's just like, what the fuck is that?
Well, imagine like if you're by yourself in the woods and you start seeing lights.
Yeah.
Like, that's, at least when you're with someone, you can be like, do you see the lights? And they'd be like, I see the lights, and you can freak out together. Imagine being by yourself in the woods. That's scary enough.
Because it's kind of just a weird encounter anyway. Because, right, if you're to take it at face value, right, it's maybe a couple of lads out hunting or a couple of lads camping, and you're out doing, Geo Wizard's case, you're out doing a straight line challenge where you're trying to walk across England in a straight line. Like it's kind of like you feel like an idiot even having to explain yourself at that time when you bump into each other. It's like a really awkward encounter.
And you
anyway.
probably have that thing in your mind, like, why am I doing this?
Yeah, exactly. So you're like, all right, lads, I'm
everything?
just going in a straight line here. Don't
I just
mind me."
go in straight lines.
It doesn't exactly help that you have to like. But even like, say you and I, if we were out on a hike and it gets really dark and we like kind of lose our way and we're trying to get home or get to a tent or whatever, like, if you bump into people and it's like fucking 3 a.m, it's kind of an unusual encounter. You're like, all right, yeah, how's the weather? Well, it's good, yeah, tough walk, yeah.
Just doing this by myself.
It's just a weird kind of. So you're naturally standoffish, I think, in those environments.
And when you have disembodied ethereal lights just floating around the place,
and shit can take it quick. Like we were on a hike. I was saying to you before we started recording, and it was in Munro, so it was over 3,000 feet, and it was a mountain that's kind of eluded me since I was a kid. Actually, it was another one. It was on the list of Ben Nevis, and Karen Toole's the last one on that'll be getting soon. But like it was a relatively tame hike most of the way, and then like getting close to the summit, like we were in the cloud. And this was like a giant grassy plateau. It was like a table. And the weather got really cold, really windy, really wet, and visibility just went. And now I'm talking like, you had probably 20 foot of ahead of you visibility, maybe less probably. And it just changed so quick, but like that panic could just take you over like really quickly. Like if you went off course and you ended up in the wrong spot, like, so anything in nature, like a lot of the time people can sit at home when they're cozy and comfy, or they're riding in their car and they're listening to this or whatever, and they could kind of scoff at maybe tales of spookiness in the woods or spookiness on mountains or anything like that. But like if you're out there in it, like shit can get crazy real quick.
It's almost the equivalent of like when you have a lad at home drinking beer, shouting at the sports star to do something different.
Panic takes you.
You couldn't do it if you were there. Like,
panic takes you really quick. It's like that fucking lad, the English young lad that's gone missing in fucking Tenerife. It's like, I think he's been missing a long time now. I suspect it dead, but like Tenerife is not a huge island and people hike it fairly often. But like he went missing and died, like probably somehow because
just got stuck.
Panic probably, or a slip. But
panic, you never make good decisions when you're panicking.
You get disorientated. Everything looks the same. You start. There's a term for it. I think we actually covered it really early in the podcast, where it's double back on yourself when you get lost.
The Grey Man episode where
it could have been that. Yeah, it was actually the Grey Man, I think, where basically there's a phenomena where when a human is lost, if the conditions are right, eventually you'll end up looping back on yourself. I don't know what the phenomena is called. We did cover it, but it's been so long ago now. So like, and then add in panic, and that's how people die. Like, it's crazy, spooky.
No mass.
So we're on to tale 2 here.
Tale 2. The night we were out was in July of 2014. It was lightning all around and throughout the car ride out to the Oxford-Milford Road. It was pouring rain, or no rain at all. It was my mum, my sister, my cousin and I. My cousin is who told me about the legend and is who made me want to go out and witness it for myself. So I talked my mum into taking us out. Well, as we approached Oxford-Milford Road, my cousin says to me and everyone on the car to keep our heads on a 360-degree pivot because the light will chase us. Oh. So we get far enough back to the point where we can't see the barn light and we turn around. Well, as we looked around and looked towards the road, we seen the light coming up over the hill and then it disappeared. We also seen one red light as it turned off the side as if it was going off the road and crashed. We think it could have been a red brake light from the bike. We sat there for about an hour, but nothing else happened. But when we seen the light and after it disappeared, I looked at the windshield. I couldn't believe that it looked like rain was going down, but it wasn't raining where we were on the road. So my cousin and I, plus our other friend who knew about the legend, tend to believe that the motorcyclist may have lost control of his bike and crashed because of it raining. I couldn't believe that the windshield looked that way for a split second and then went back to normal. I now want to go back out and try to see the Oxford light. So again, yeah, so you've got another one there. It presents itself as a different way. Metaphysical Bigfoot, ethereal Dogman.
Of course, it was him.
What would you say? What's another one? Spiritual
Mothman.
Mothman, yeah, spiritual Mothman.
We've got one more tale here.
Yeah.
It was Halloween night of 2014, and me and about 8 of my friends decided to go ghost hunting. It's a worthwhile pursuit for sure. We had been to a few places, but had no luck thus far until we went to the light. It's a very long stretch of road, and at the part of the road where the accident occurred is the sharpest turn on any road I've ever seen. At the turn, there is a mysterious road on the right that has overgrown weeds and grass everywhere. This road was said to have led to the motorcyclist's forbidden lover. Alright. We turned onto that and flashed our lights 3 times. Then we headed back down the road and stopped right at the beginning of the sharp turn, and I put my car in park, turned off the engine, rolled down all the windows, turned all the headlights off. We waited for about 1 minute. Then we all saw the set of really weird red lights. We had no clue what they were. Then we saw one light, but it didn't look like a headlight. It reminded all of us more of an orb than a headlight because it was floating in the air like a feather.
Oh, jeez.
It would sway from one side of the road to the other, and then it would go high up in the air, and then it almost looked as if it was going to crash down to the ground. The closer that it got, the closer the 2 red lights got. Then we heard what sounded like a little boy screaming, and that flipped us out. That's spooky. So we got off. So we took off. They didn't get off. They probably did that later.
That'd be weird.
But as we neared the end of Milford Road, we saw the orb stopped on the road. At this point, it looked like a big ball of light, but it quickly disappeared. Later that week, we found out that the red lights are said to be those of the little boy's bike. One of the stories goes that a little boy caused the motorcyclist to crash. We were told that the motorcyclist didn't see the boy or his 2 red reflectors on his bike until it was too late. The motorcyclist saw the little boy on his bike right before the turn, resulting in the horrible death of this little boy and the love-struck motorcyclist.
Everybody loses.
So, there you go, Evan. What you reckon about that?
When you're just reading it generally, it seems like the lights are probably passing vehicles. But then when you listen to those, or rather you read those 3 stories, you're going, okay, maybe there's something else at play.
Yeah, like a legend like that doesn't just happen because of passing vehicle lights.
And even though it did say, the guy who lives in the house where the girl supposedly lived, and he's like, what are you talking about? That's all nuts. I do sometimes like the idea that if people are in a place and everyone believes in this thing enough, there's a manifestation of Bigfoot.
Bigfoot on a motorcycle.
Stealing knickers off the line. He has his helicopter pilot's
He does
license.
have his helicopter pilot's license.
Yeah.
I think there is something to that. I think another thing is country roads are fucking lethal. There's only a thing today about something like 60 or 70% of fatal accidents on Irish roads are on back roads.
That's because our back roads, the speed limits are like fucking challenges in Colin McRae Rally.
Yeah, class,
like
man.
80 kilometres. Like the back road up
That's
to my
class.
house by Mount Prospect. 80 kilometres is the limit.
That's what you want.
It is what you want. Class. But also a higher probability of death if that's what you drive at.
So it's spooky. I'm trying to think if I've had any like really creepy night driving stories. I do love a bit of night driving. Definitely partial to a bit of night driving.
Yeah.
Fucking love it. Something so moody about it or something.
I think
really
you can
atmospheric.
listen to some tunes, be by yourself
Brilliant.
and just chill out.
Class. Yeah. I remember distinctly, and it's funny because me and Kira had this experience without, like, it was one of them things where it was just both of us in hindsight we're like, oh, that was really cool. It was kind of a weird one, but it was back in lockdown, and it was before like it was before anyone had COVID, and one of the lads got COVID.
Okay,
and I was sitting with him for like a couple of hours that day, and he was the first one of us to pop. So I was like, "Oh fuck, I better get tested." This is before anyone had it, and nowhere nearby had tests. And the only place I could get a test was up in Gorey. Up in the service station up there. So I had to drive 45 minutes on the main road, but it was like pitch black, and we had on all Jay's is it Relaxer, I think is the name of the album. But just that album, that drive was just one of those cool.
And did you take the test in the car?
Yeah. I was negs.
And then everyone was like, "Oh, class."
Yeah. But yeah, so I don't know. I think the spookiness can take it. I've been in a couple of situations as well where in Ireland, like boy racers or such a thing, where people like fuck with you. I've had that a couple of times where like I've had dickheads fucking. I'm a little bit prone to road rage, a little bit, and there was one time where a lad overtook me on a really fucking dangerous spot just to kind of be a fucking dope, just like to be a shithead. I was in a place where he shouldn't, and he was in the lane of oncoming traffic in a really dodgy spot. So I was that annoyed that I sped after him and followed him for quite a while. So maybe I was the spooky driver in that case.
Yeah,
but I made him turn
the
around.
ghost lights of Oxford.
Yeah, I made him double back on himself. So because I was fucking so annoyed, I was like, "You fucking moron!" Like,
double back on himself.
He basically hit a roundabout and went back.
Oh, really? Right. He got scared of you following him.
No, I was fucking annoyed, like, because I was like, "You fucking moron." So then what I did was proceeded to drive more dangerous. But it was like, that shit can be really...
but it's true, every now and then, like, even on the motorways, someone just, like...
cuts out,
It's just such a dangerous turn, to move into the lane.
People don't give a fuck, man. They're crazy.
When we were driving, I was driving home from Dublin. It was after Gorey because we stopped at the service station, and there was a point where like someone was overtaken, and like literally 2 or 3 more seconds, and they would have just hit into me because they were on the other opposite side of the road. And it's just so fucking dumb.
You'll probably drive 60 on the motorway, do you?
60. I mean, if I want to get the heart pumping, I hit up to the big 60. But
how are you? What way do you drive? Like, actually, I don't know. I'd imagine
I can be zippy.
Conservative, are you?
I'm after getting a bit too comfortable
bold now, a bit brazen,
now I'm just like
a bit bold.
Just be going around like
bit
that.
Brazen.
Passing the Garda station. Don't care, man. I was doing 135 there.
Oh, fucking hell. Stop it.
I was just, here I go again on my own.
Yeah, I think it depends on the road for me. If I'm on a road I don't know, particularly if it's like a shitty back road, I don't go crazy.
Look, you have to, like, there's times when going fast is fine, like especially when you're on the motorways and stuff like that. You're following the traffic. But if you're going into the back roads at 80 just because you can, having never been in that back road before, that you'll die like.
Yeah, if I'm not familiar with the road, generally
you have to fucking.
If I know the road, I don't give a fuck. But yes, back to spookiness. There could be something to it. Lights, there's definitely something to, for sure. Like that is a whole thing.
Will-o'-the-wisps, that's the lights, isn't it? Forest lights,
So what they could be, who the fuck knows?
Probably metaphysical.
There's a million of them on. Like, I mean, look, if you're to go into like angel sightings and religious, that sort of, would iconography be the right term? I don't know, but like that kind of, those celestial beings are often described as a body of light.
Yeah.
You know, is it something like that? Or is it some kind of forest spirit?
I mean, sometimes you wonder, is it kind of some sort of a force of nature that we don't understand yet? That there's actually an explanation, but it's using a method of energy that we can't really measure right now. So we say ghosts and we say this and we say that, but like actually it is a measurable thing. We just don't know what we're trying to measure or how to measure
that.
It
Does happen as well still, where they're like, oh, that does that. Cool.
Yeah.
There will be a time where they just figure out everything and it'll be just insane.
Was it a law of everything? Is that the binding law that explains all of life and how it all works? Yeah.
But like once humans figure that out, if we get that far, then that's it then.
be destroyed.
We probably will be, but if we don't, that's crazy.
The funny thing is, like, we're not gonna survive in the long term anyway. Like, the way that we've seen our history go and the way we've seen evolution, like, it's very unlikely that.
But we're here now and we're hardy. Like,
enjoy yourself. Drive fast.
But we've survived mass extinctions. So you know, we are hardy. Like, there's not
we're
much.
Adaptable. We're very.
There's not
adaptable.
much that'd fully wipe out humans. I don't think.
No.
So,
but even as you said before in the Pleistocene episodes, that like there was only 600 humans at one point, which is just unfathomable.
Yeah. And then Jesus came down and blessed us all and turned us into his God's creations. And then we went on about our business. Right, I think we'll leave that one there because we're rambling.
That's the end of it.
Enjoyed that. I liked the lights. I liked it being pursued by something spooky. Scary shit, and
at the
I
very
have to
least
drive you home in the
light
dark
up.
now.
I can walk, man.
So we might get pursued.
Like Streets of Rage.
We might get pursued by a light. But what if you were to get pursued by a light when you're walking? It's even worse.
Yeah, it'd be worse.
Yeah, you don't want that.
Sure, if it happens, it happens. Nah, you'd act like, yeah, sure, like whatever. Like, but in real life, you'd make higher sound, sweeter vocal box than ever before.
Absolutely. Have you got anything you'd like to say, man, before we get out of here?
No, big thanks to everybody for listening. Is this the last episode before you go to Japan? We have one more left.
Yeah, two
more
left.
Episode left. Two more episodes left. 3 more episodes.
Yeah.
He's not even going to Japan.
No, we're recording next week.
So yeah, big thanks again to everyone who signed up to the Patreon, who's supporting us, helping us grow. We appreciate you. And you really do help us out a lot, so thanks for that.
Word, big bird. I've been Rob.
I've been Eamon.
Monster Fuzz. Over and out.